Guys, it's Amber, and today I'm doing a super fun video to end off the year, and it is my top 10 albums of 2016. And I already filmed this video, but it was 30 minutes long, so I decided to refilm it and I guess talk a little less about each album and kind of like time myself so that way it's not going to be as long. Because wow, I just have a lot of thoughts. I'm really passionate about every single album I'm talking about. So yeah, that's pretty much why it ended up being so long. But I just have 10 albums and I have them numbered from 10 to 1. And yes, there is going to be a lot of pop punk albums on this. I just wanted to say that before I start. But I don't have just pop punk albums on this list. It's just I listen to that the most. So it would make sense for a majority of the albums to be that genre and then the rest to be different genres. But I have everything on here. So I hope you guys keep an open mind as you're watching this. And yeah, without further ado, I'm just gonna get started. I'm gonna start off with my first album, which is number 10, and that is Anti or Anti by Rihanna, however you want to say it. And at this point, I hadn't been a super big fan of Rihanna just because I liked the album that she released a song like California King Bed with. But after that, I wasn't too big of a fan because her stuff got really like auto-tuned. But I decided to give it a listen just because like I didn't really have a real reason, and I loved it. It was so good. Like it has like very like synthy songs and like some songs that are very stripped down, and it has R&B songs that sound like they're from the like early thousands, like slow jams, and just fun dance to songs. It's just like I really like it. I think the lyrics are really good too, and a lot of them they're very strong. And I would definitely say my top songs on this album are Consideration, Kiss It Better, and yeah, I said it. But I also have to give, obviously, props to Work because that song is one of my favorite songs ever to jam to, and I'm obsessed with Drake, so. Alright, and my number 9 spot is going to Dangerous Woman by Ariana Grande. And this is like a really weird album to put on this list, and I feel like people would be really upset about it. But the reason I chose to do Ariana Grande is just because that album is really strong. From like top to finish, there's hit after hit after hit, and even the second half that's not full of her like number ones is still like, to me, the best part of the album. It's very R&B. She brought that style back after her last album. I didn't like her last album at all, or that sound. I was super excited when I heard this, and Dangerous Woman, her first single, I was like, finally she brought her like voice back. Such a strong voice. Like she is definitely one of the best singers that we have today, and I really thoroughly enjoyed this album. Alright, and my top songs on Dangerous Woman definitely have to be Sometimes, I Don't Care, and Side to Side. And then my number 8 spot is going to go to Around the World and Back by State Champs. Alright, so Around the World and Back by State Champs is definitely made my list because it's so fun. From like the beginning song all the way to the end, it's just a song that you really want to jam out to. You want to be in a crowd of people with, just like jumping up and down and singing along with your friends. Lyrics are really fun too. They're kind of all about like kind of breaking up and stuff like that. But at the same time, he puts like his own spin on it, so it's not like super negative and depressing. They're all pretty upbeat songs. So it just makes you smile, puts you in a good mood, and they're all pretty different. Some of them are slow, some of them have a different style, like Breaking Ground, that has a very R&B kind of sounding to it in my opinion, and he has a really deep voice, which I really like when pop punk bands can go deeper with their voices. And it's just, the instrumentation's really good. Yeah, I don't know really what else to say other than I really like that album. It's super fun. My top songs on this album are definitely going to have to be All or Nothing, Breaking Ground, and Losing Myself. Those are my definitely top 3 favorite songs on this album. Alright, and my number 7 spot is going to be going to Headspace by Issues. And Issues is one of my favorite bands for sure. They just have a very different sound. Like they bring so many different genres and mix them all together with hardcore, and it's incredible. And a lot of people didn't like that because they just incorporated so many genres, but that's what makes it awesome. Like they had country, R&B, groove, funk, They had one song that literally had 0 words and it was just all like beats, and it just worked for them. Like, it sounds so good, and the themes of the album are awesome, from police brutality to death to having someone only like you for money and how being a hero can be all about money. There's just everything is all in this album, and I love it. You have to go listen to it. The lyrics are great. The instrumentation is beautiful. And my top 3 songs on this album definitely have to be Lost and Found, Hero, Blue Wall, and because I can't choose, I'm also going to add Coma because that's a really good song. Alright, and my number 6 spot is going to go to Lemonade by Beyonce, and that is going to upset a lot of people, or a lot of the people that I know in real life and I'm friends with, because I was obsessed with this album at the beginning of the year when it was first coming out and all we heard was Formation. I was like, yes, Beyonce, slay my life. And then when her album actually came out, I was like, yes, Beyonce, slay my life. But this album was really, really strong. It was kind of like the Issues album where it brought in a lot of different like genres and vibes, and she mixed them together with her own like flair and her own R&B vibe and style. And that's really cool when artists were able to do that. She took in country, rock and roll, reggae, just like all these different things. She had Kendrick Lamar featured on Freedom, and it's just taking all these different elements and bringing them together and making something special. And this entire album was about kind of how Jay-Z cheated on her. At least that's what we're all speculating it was about. And it was kind of just a story of like grieving and how she went from unsure to like sure, angry, sad, and then like forgiveness, and to just acceptance. She went through all these different stages, and you can see it in each song, and the lyrics are super powerful with the standout track Sandcastles to me, where she had a voice crack. I would say my favorite songs on the album are Daddy Lessons, 6 Inch, Sorry, and Freedom. Number 5 spot definitely goes to Nemesis, the EP by Bridget Mendler. And I'm sure all of you guys are like, who is Bridget Mendler? And Bridget Mendler was on Good Luck Charlie a while ago, and she released an album a while back, like 3, 4, 5 years ago. And it was so good to me. It was just upbeat and uplifting, and I liked jamming out to it. And she took a really long break to do acting roles, and she finally came back with an EP that is nothing like you would expect her to release. She has a very like R&B vibe. She says that's what she likes to do is R&B. And then she also used like experimental stuff with like techno and electronic. And she kind of mixed those together to create this sound that I've never heard anyone ever do. And it's so cool. Even in her song, like, Do You Miss Me at All? I swear she's using like spoons. I suggest you all go listen to it. It's one of my favorite, I think, EPs ever, albums ever. Like, I love it so much, and I never get tired of it. I'm listening to it all the time. And her lyrics are very metaphoric and poetic, so they're not straightforward, which is different. And yeah, like, there's just, I don't even really know what else to say because it's just that amazing. Just go check it out. And because that album only has 4 songs because it's an EP, I'm just going to say my favorite song on there is Library. My number 4 album is going to be This Could Be Heartbreak by The Amity Affliction. And I started listening to this album a few months ago, even though it came out in the middle of the year. It's very hardcore, so if you're not into that type of stuff, I wouldn't necessarily go listen to it. But basically, it has a lot of screaming, but then also singing in the choruses usually. And then some songs do have just singing, and then some songs do have just screaming. So it's kind of like a mixture of everything. But the thing I like about The Amity Affliction is that they theme their albums really well. And this album is about heartbreak, but also on the album cover, it features a funeral scene. So it also has to do with the like kind of death of love almost. And I really, really enjoy it. Every song kind of touches on like either a heartbreak theme or a death theme, and it works so well. The music videos are incredible. It was just, I really like this era of them. My favorite songs on this album definitely have to be Nightmare, Fight My Regret, and Some Friends. And then my number 3 album of the year, I'm finally in my top 3, so it is going to go to Misadventures by Avail. And if you're rolling your eyes because you know Avail is my favorite band like ever in existence. At least they're not number one. If you're not a Pierce Avail fan, you don't know this, but the last album Pierce Avail released was in 2012. So they took 4 years to release a new album. I was so antsy about it, and Vic was just talking about it so much, being like, yeah, like I'm just still writing it and I want everything to be perfect. And it was honestly worth the wait because all the songs are so good, not just instrumentally, production wise, lyric wise. From the first track, Dive In, I was like blown away that this is something they created. It's not to me like their other albums. I feel like it definitely has more production elements, I would say, and just more in each song. It just has more. The lyrics are very metaphoric, poetic, kind of just like Nemesis. And my favorite songs on that album are definitely Dive In, with Phantom Power and Ludicrous Speed, and Sambuca and Songs for Isabel. And my number 2 album of the year, I had a hard time picking between this album and my first choice album, but it is going to For Your Eyes Only by J. Cole. And that album literally just came out. I think it was this month or the end of last month. But wow. I was blown away by this album. Like, I don't even have a lot of words to describe it to you guys of how incredible it really is. And I feel like it throws a lot of people off just because it does talk about hard stuff for all of us to take in and internalize. It's scary to think about, but it's all very true and it's all very raw. And I feel like that's what makes this album so great, is that it's so raw to his life and to his friend's life, because it's been said that the album is about his friend and himself, and they kind of parallel for a while until they kind of break off because one's still in the drug scene and J. Cole isn't anymore. And the title track, For Your Eyes Only, he basically is saying that his friend died. And the whole album is just basically a biography. And there's not a lot of people who can literally make a biography of their life and turn it into music. And yeah, all artists definitely use like their own personal experiences and life in their songs, but this is literally top to bottom basically a biography. And it's incredible. The raps are beautiful. The beats are beautiful. I don't know what else to say. My favorite songs in that album are definitely Immortal, Change, Neighbors, and For Your Eyes Only. And then my top album of the year, drumroll, is Chemical Miracle by Trophy Eyes. And wow, again, with J. Cole's album, this album is incredible. It definitely deserves the #1 spot, and I think if you went and listened to it, you'd understand why. This album is basically about so many different things, but I would say the top 2 themes of this album are suicide and alcoholism. And it's just, every song just kind of touches on both those things. And from the title track, where someone who saved his life ended up killing themselves, and from the end track, which is all about accepting that you are going to be different from the rest of the world and that it's okay. And from my favorite song, Home Is, about home isn't a place, it's a person. And just everything, it's just all the songs are so different. And the 2 title tracks, Chemical and Miracle, they're 2 separate songs, but they have very similar styles. And they kind of are just like screaming about these 2 different things. And I really love this album. The lyrics are so deep. So like when you listen to it, make sure that you're like listening truly to the lyrics, because they're great. And I can tell that they put a lot of time and effort into it. And so it's like pop punk, but like hardcore combined together. And it's not post-hardcore, it's literally like pop punk, because there's really strong pop punk elements and then also hardcore elements. My favorite songs on Chemical Miracle definitely have to be Home Is, obviously. That song's beautiful. Miracle, Daydreamer, and I'm gonna say Nosebleed. With that, that is the end of my list. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and leave below your top 10 albums of the year, because I'd love to know what you guys thought of the albums. And if you have any comments about any of the albums that I have on this list, definitely go ahead and comment them down below too, because I really like talking about music. So yeah, but if you enjoyed, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe, because I make new videos every single week. And I will see you guys in my next video, which will probably be the new year. Happy New Year, guys. Bye.